Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Balancing Act, the podcast devoted to helping families navigate memory loss and dementia. I'm Kelly Burtonshaw. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to come face to face with a long, abiding stigma, the stigma surrounding dementia. It's the diagnosis that is rarely talked about among families. It brings up fear, shame, even denial. And because of that, people often delay talking with their physician when memory problems start up. The thought of that possible diagnosis of dementia can feel like you're going to open a door you can never close. But here's the truth. Stigma is not only painful, it's costly. It keeps people from getting care. It can isolate families, and it robs us of the community we desperately need. My hope in this episode is to shine a gentle light on where stigma comes from, why it matters, the help getting a diagnosis can bring, and most importantly, how can we begin to break that silence? Let's start with the roots of stigma. Dementia has long been misunderstood. For generations, people used words like senile or crazy. It was seen not only as a medical condition, but as a shameful decline, something to be hidden. These old ideas still linger, even though today we understand dementia as related to a disease of the brain, not a reflection of a person's character or worth. I remember one daughter telling me that her mom begged her not to tell anyone about the diagnosis. "Don't let the neighbors know," she said. "They'll think I'm crazy." That fear didn't come from nowhere. It came from a lifetime of hearing dementia spoken about as something to avoid, something that made you less than. Cultural beliefs can also shape stigma. In some families, memory loss is brushed off as just old age. In others, it's treated as a moral failing or even punishment. And for the person living with dementia, those messages can be devastating. Imagine noticing your memory slipping, and instead of being met with understanding, you're worried you'll be judged or labeled. No wonder so many people resist going to the doctor. But that silence comes with a high cost. When families delay seeking a diagnosis, they miss opportunities, medications that could help slow symptoms, guidance on safety, and the chance to plan for the future while their loved one can still participate in those decisions. But beyond missing treatments, there are very real fears that keep people from making that first doctor's appointment. For many individuals, the biggest worry is, if I'm diagnosed, will I be forced to leave my home? Home is more than walls and furniture. It's independence, identity, comfort. The thought of being moved into a facility too soon can feel terrifying. So denial feels safer than confirmation. And families, well, denial can be protective for them too. Because a diagnosis doesn't just affect one person, it ripples out to everyone who loves them. Facing dementia head-on can mean a future of care responsibilities, financial planning, and changes to routines that feel overwhelming. I've spoken with families who admitted, "We knew something was wrong, but we weren't ready for what the diagnosis would mean for our lives, our finances, our freedom, even our own plans for retirement." Delaying bought them time, but it also delayed support. I think of one caregiver who refused letting her spouse be assessed. She didn't want their lives to be changed or anyone to see them differently. But during that time, they both stopped attending church, stopped meeting friends for dinner, and little by little, their world grew smaller, and her spouse's behavior and struggles became unmanageable. By the time she finally reached out for support, she was completely overwhelmed. And she told me, I thought we could handle it on our own, but I didn't realize how isolating it would feel, and I wish I'd spoken up sooner. Stigma doesn't only affect the family, it also isolates the person with dementia. Friends may pull away, not out of cruelty, because they just don't know what to say. Invitations stop. Conversations get awkward. And the person living with dementia feels the loss of identity, not just memory, but community. One woman told me after her diagnosis, it felt like people stopped seeing me as me. They only saw the disease. And that's what stigma does. It starts to erase the person, when in fact, the diagnosis doesn't actually take away who they are. We've talked a lot about why families delay a diagnosis, but let's shift for a moment because there are also real life-changing benefits to knowing sooner rather than later. When a diagnosis is made early, families have access to medical service and resources right away. That might mean those medications, but it also means connecting with professionals who can guide you through the next steps. You're not left trying to figure it out all on your own. Early diagnosis also gives families the chance to get affairs in order. That might mean financial planning, making legal decisions, or simply having honest conversations about what matters most. These are difficult conversations, but having them early can bring peace of mind later. It also opens the door to education. Families can learn about dementia, understand what changes to expect, and gain practical tools for caregiving. I know that knowing doesn't erase the challenges, but it replaces fear with preparation. Safety at home is another benefit. With time on your side, you can make adjustments like reducing fall risks, labeling cabinets, or setting up support systems so your loved one can remain in their home as long as possible, safely and comfortably. And perhaps most importantly, an early diagnosis allows your loved one to have a voice in their future. They can share how they want to live the rest of their life, what's important to them, and how they want to be supported. Those choices matter, and honoring them preserves your loved one's dignity. So how do we begin to change the stigma surrounding the word dementia? It starts about how we talk about it. Words carry weight. Instead of saying someone is demented, we can say they are living with dementia. Now, I know that shift might sound small, but it acknowledges their humanity first, their diagnosis second. We can also try to normalize conversations about memory loss. Just like we talk openly about diabetes or heart disease, we can say, yes, my dad has dementia, and here's how we're supporting him. When families speak openly, it creates space for others to offer help instead of gossip or pity. I worked with one family who chose honesty from the beginning. They told their neighbors right away about their father's diagnosis. At first, it was uncomfortable. People really didn't know how to respond. But over time, something beautiful happened. Those neighbors became their strongest support system. They brought meals. They offered respite care. They even took turns walking with their father in the evenings. What began with honesty ended with community. It also helps to focus on strengths. A diagnosis doesn't erase everything a person has to offer. Your loved one may still enjoy music, cooking, gardening, or storytelling. They are still a parent, a spouse, a friend. Holding on to those identities and reminding others of them pushes back against stigma. And caregivers, you play such a vital role here. When you model acceptance, you give permission for others to do the same. Saying, yes, my spouse has dementia, and we're learning how to live with it, opens the door for support instead of that secrecy. Stigma thrives in silence. But when we choose to speak, to share, and to stand together, We chip away at that silence. Because dementia is not a personal failing. It is not shameful. It's a medical condition, and one that deserves compassion, understanding, and community support. If you're walking this road, please hear me. Seeking help is not weakness. Telling the truth is not betrayal. It's the beginning of building that support you and your loved one needs. And please consider me part of that support. Message me on Facebook with any questions or comments. I'd love to talk about how things are going for you and your loved one. Our Facebook link is in the show notes. Finally, I hope you will give yourself this grace. No one is perfect at this. No one. You're doing the best you can. You're doing it from a place of love. And that is enough. I'm Kelly Burtonshaw, and it was my pleasure spending time with you today. Please, keep in touch.
Hi, I'm Peggy Wright, editor and producer of this podcast. We know that juggling your loved one's care while trying to manage your own life can truly become a balancing act. We want to help you as you navigate this journey by offering our support. You can reach out to us anytime by going to our Facebook page to ask questions, leave comments for Kelly, or talk with her one-on-one by setting up a chat. The link is in the show notes. And you can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review so we can continue to provide relevant content. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening today.